So I had a bit of fun. I simulated the AFL 2026 season 100 times, and the results were quite alarming. Brisbane finished first or second in 82% of the simulations, a clear finals caste system forming. Carlton somehow became the gatekeepers between contenders and pretenders, and West Coast were perpetually stuck in a spoon fight. So let's talk it out. G'day legends, welcome back to the channel. Pommy and Oz here. Hope you're all doing really well. Make sure you drop a like and a subscribe. It really does help the channel out, and I've been really happy with the support you've shown me recently, so thank you very much for that. So I got bored, as you do in the off-season. We've got that ladder simulator on the website, and we decided to have a little bit of a cook-off with it. We took the 2026 fixture, gave every club a rating, and then we mixed in some secret sauce, home ground advantage. We added a chaos algorithm, and then we just simulated it and sat there and looked at the computer screen 100 times. And what came out was quite interesting. Brisbane finished first or second a staggering 82% of the time. Completely dominant. There was a clear top 8 cluster, and then 9, 10, 11 and 12 became really exciting. Carlton were bang in the middle of that. The gatekeepers, if you will, between finals football and disappointment. And Richmond, West Coast, North basically looked like they were in a spoon-off at the bottom of the ladder. In this video, we're going to go and walk you through what the sim spat out. Not as the this will happen, but as a starting point for a little bit of footy chatter, where you can tell me where you think everyone will be. That's up to you. If you enjoy these kind of nerdy type videos, though, these ladder chats, chuck a like, make that subscribe. We've got a load of prediction videos coming in the off-season, and then we'll ramp up the content in the new year. So we'll take you right over to Christmas and the new year on one stop. So how does the simulator work? That's probably a good little starting point, isn't it? Quick explainer, so we're all on the same page. Each season runs the full home and away system, and for every game, the model looks at a base rating, and we've adapted that from the list, 2025's performance, historical changes, and also where they'll be in 2026. We have a home and ground advantage, and then some randomness, because obviously good sides drop games, and nothing is linear. So that's a really good starting point. Now, the ratings, we genuinely take the bookies' predictions and then merge it with ours and create a core average, and then it spins these games throughout a season and does it 100 times. It builds a ladder on wins, percentage, logs where every team finished. Bang, done, dusted. After 100 seasons, we don't get certainty, but we get a kind of nice probability scale of what we're looking at in 2026. So let's have a look. It's definitely the first thing that smacks you in the face is the Brisbane Lions cinematic universe, and that is what this sim world is saying. They finished first or second in the ladder in 82% of the simulations. They made the top 4 96% of the time, and they were 100% of the time in the top 10. Their worst finish in 100 was 6th. That's not just a window, we're talking dynasty territory. They're basically locked into a double chance, and then they're going to be a threat for the rest of the competition. The big discussion point for you guys at home and girls is, are Brisbane actually the most dominant team in 2026, or is the model drinking a bit of the Lions' Kool-Aid? I think based on their list and profile, they are the clear contenders. Now, there is a cluster of teams chasing the Lions who are going to keep them honest. So you've got to get past the Brisbane and the dominant, the real clear contenders. With simulations, that kind of happens. One is kind of loved a little bit more than the rest. But the final spots are being hogged by a group of teams. They are, outside of Brisbane, Hawthorn, Geelong, Adelaide, Gold Coast, GWS, Sydney, and surprisingly for some, Collingwood Football Club. They shuffle between top 4, bottom half of the 8, but they keep popping up. Hawthorn in particular and Geelong regularly land in that top 4. Adelaide and Gold Coast live in that top 4 to 8 band. And Sydney are really intriguing, 5th, 6th and 7th. And GWS and Collingwood, they go anywhere from 6th to 10th. So in this version in 2026, the flag looks destined for Brisbane, but there is a cluster of very, very good sides. And the sim is really giving them some kudos. The discussion point really number 2 is, does that contenders group look right to you? I feel like it does. There is a club, though, that I feel that could drag themselves into the top tier and out of it. Now, Carlton were the really intriguing one. Obviously, this year we're going to have 10 teams in the finals. And then when we hit the funny line in the sand-type ladder, Carlton are standing right on it. The sim has Carlton as really the gatekeepers of contenders and pretenders. Their average finishing position, although being 12.5, it did sneak them into the 10 quite a bit, and they're the next of the favourites. Best case, they sneak into the top 10. But worst case, they have flirted with the bottom 4. Now, this is really intriguing. Every time you look at the numbers, it does look like Carlton should be in that top 10. But in reality, Carlton are one of them anomalies, aren't they? They're up, down, up, down. It's kind of perfect that they become the bouncer at the door in the finals nightclub. If the Blues had a good year, they can push someone out of that top 10, be in the lower end finals mix. If they have a bad year, though, you would not be shocked to see them in the city dwelling at the bottom. So, Blue Baggers, does this feel like where you are? For me, I think Carlton are right mid-tier, and it's really interesting. The spoon battle is intriguing. For some reason, the algorithm does not like our friends at Richmond, which I'm surprised. I built it and I'm a big fan, but West Coast, as we'd expect, are down there. Now, in 100 universes, West Coast finished last 40 times. 40 wooden spoons out of 100. Richmond are far behind, and between the two of them, they basically are 18th and 17th. In the majority of the season, Eagles were last, Tigers were 17th. Tigers, interesting enough though, shifted up to like 14th, 13th at times, where the highest that we saw the Eagles finish in the simulation was 17th. Now, West Coast fans will say they've got Harley Reid, they've done well in the draft, they can improve, they can get it right. I think the model is kind of right, though. It's going to be a very young side that's going to have to try and do something amazing, and year 2, year 3 players are going to have to go nuclear and drag them off the bottom of the ladder. But it recognises how deep the hole is and what the situation is for the Eagles. They're developing, they're learning, and I do think it's a fair assessment to say they're at the bottom end of the thing. Richmond is a little bit different for me. They have done the rebuild. They're still in the rebuild. Their list turnover is big. They're starting to settle though now. But the sim doesn't really care about what Pommy thinks. It cares about what it knows. And it has them in the bottom 3 most of the time. So I think this could be wrong because I think there could be more improvement from Richmond. But I wouldn't be shocked to see them finish 17th and 18th. I'm curious though, Tigers and Eagles fans. Where do you think the acceptable mentality is for that? Do you think the sim has been a little bit harsh on you? Let me know. Now then there's the chaos clubs, and this is quite funny because I say this about them too. Now traditional simulators have Western Bulldogs as some of the favourites, and if you go through the data and you do it on a pure data measurement, the doggies are always going to be quite high up, and it's quite interesting that even though mine doesn't do that, it does have these fully anomalies. In some universes, it's had them win it. In other universes, it's had them at 14th, and this is pure Bevo energy, and it comes down to the fixture and when they peak at the right time. Part of that chaos data that I told you. Fremantle and St Kilda are also in that similar bucket. On the best day, yes, they're top 4. Fremantle particularly, winning it quite a few times, but on their bad days, in no man's land. These are the clubs where injuries, breakout seasons from a kid can really change it. Tactical tweaks, players playing well against you can really be detrimental. And it's really interesting because when September comes, you can't be wondering. But on the way there, you can ask a lot of questions. So on these coin flip sides, who do you trust the most? And who's the coin flip side as well that you're really looking out for? But when you zoom out, the real story of the whole simulator is really interesting. I think we can all agree Brisbane is near dynasty mode at the top of the ladder. And I think there's a very, very clear top 10. Brisbane, Hawthorn, Geelong, Adelaide, Gold Coast, Sydney, GWS, Collingwood, Fremantle, the Dogs. Carlton definitely are sitting in the middle of the road along with Saints. And then variant sides, Dogs, Fremantle, Saints, Carlton. They could bounce up the ladder. They could bounce down the ladder. It's hard to see. And then the bottom 5 sides, North, Melbourne, Essendon, Port, West Coast, Richmond. They're going to be really, really hard. It's interesting in this simulation that Melbourne and Port were kind of just in no man's land. So this isn't me saying bookmark this video. We're going to be bang on. But what I did find really interesting about the simulation was it's a fun thing to argue with, and it gives us a good little base reading for us to go in to 2026. So now it comes down to you. You're going to hear my thoughts and me do my own ladder. But on the screen now is where the simulator thinks they are. What do you think will happen in 2026? Let me know if you did it in your mind 100 times. For me, the big takeaways are Brisbane look like dynasty-level sides. There's a clear top 10 cluster, and then the rest of the comp has to break into. It's going to be really fascinating what 2026 holds because there's so many unanswered questions when we're only in December. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. It really does help the channel out. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you next time. Pommy out.
Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it in a sense, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.